Hello, friend. Jim here with JB's Big Adventure, coming to you from Lake Chapala, Mexico. In this video, I've got some really important things for you to think about, know about, and make some decisions that are going to better your way and your offering of wanting to come to Lake Chapala to retire. But before I get to that information, if you haven't yet, I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's an awesome community, and I know you want to be a part of it. It's fast, free, and easy to do. On the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little red square box. Tap on it, you're subscribed, and you'll know when our next video comes out. Also, give us a thumbs up to let other people know it's a great video to watch in regards to retiring here at Lake Chapala. So let's get into the information here, and what I'm going to be doing is reading some things off a sheet of paper, because I don't, being the fact I'm in my 60s, I'm losing brain cells when it comes to trying to remember a lot of things. So forgive me for that I don't just have this stuff all memorized. But some of the questions that I have recently received by email, I've kind of put some things together to be able to answer those questions that some people have. So the first one is, can Americans actually live in Mexico legally? And the answer is yes. There are 1.5 million Americans that live and call Mexico home. The highest majority of those expats, the highest concentration of them, are right here at Lake Chapala. So there's three different ways of being here. One is coming on a tourist visa, which means all you need is your passport. And what they're going to do is they're going to stamp your passport. They give you 180 days as a tourist. The second one is called a temporal visa. What that does is gives you 4 hours. It gives you 4 years. See what I told you? 4 years to be able to be here in Mexico as a temporal. And then there's permanente. Permanente gives you, it's literally permanent. You're able to have permanent residence here at Lake Chapala. Now, once you're temporal for 4 years, then it goes into permanente if you decide to do that. But some things about the temporal that are pluses. For one, the requirements for qualifying to be able to live in Mexico in regards to the solvency amount actually is lower than it is for the permanente. So it's easier on a temporal. I should say easier. It is a lower bar to have to jump over to be able to qualify, to be able to be here as a temporal visa owner here in Mexico. The other plus is you're able to actually have a foreign plated car. It's a car that's not plated in Mexico. So whatever vehicle it is, you're able to actually have that vehicle and drive that vehicle here legally, as long as you have a tip, which is basically a bangercito that gives the vehicle its own visa and basically allows it to be in Mexico. Once you have a permanente, that vehicle can no longer be in Mexico unless it qualifies for naturalization, and that's a totally different video. So yes, you can be here legally. Now here's a caveat to that, and this is something that has happened a lot. Somebody comes to Mexico and they here on a tourist visa, which is 180 days. But years later, they are still living here on a tourist visa that is now expired. Now, what do you think would happen if, in fact, we're talking about a visa with somebody that's actually in the States when it comes to somebody moving there from Japan or somebody moving there from Mexico or wherever it may be? Well, if they're outside of the time frame, yes, they're going to be deported. So it's illegal to stay here past those 180 days without making sure you're updating your tourist visa, which means you have to actually cross over the border back into the States and then at a period later come back into the country. So this is how you actually live here legally. Second thing is learning the language. Now, I've mentioned this in other videos. It is so important for us to come to Mexico and to grasp and to embrace the culture. We're here as guests. This is Mexico. It's their country. We can't be requiring them to know English. They need to be requiring us to know Spanish. So how important is it to learn Spanish when living in Mexico? Well, we're spoiled here at Lake Chapala because there's so many Americans and Canadians that live here that only speak English. A lot of the services and such, the Mexican people know English. Now, it's not everybody, and I would say it's not a majority. That's why it's so important for us as visitors to make sure that we embrace the culture, and a major part of that culture is learning their language. Now, I don't talk perfect Spanish today. I still struggle with it, but you know what? I'm trying to do what I can and trying to learn as much as I can as I go. There are places here where you can actually take classes. You can take them for free. LCS has a class, and so does the American Legion. Free Spanish lessons. So learning the language, yes, it's a plus. And if you're coming here and you're planning on being here for any period of time, you're going to want to make sure that you're learning the Spanish language. Moving on, understanding the health care facilities here in Mexico. Now, what I'm doing is I want to say at Lake Chapala, Mexico. I just had a woman that just was here visiting. We've been together for a couple of days, and she's retired from the medical field. And when I took her into one of the hospitals, she was very pleasantly surprised. It was a lot cleaner, a lot more up to date than she expected it to be. So that's a plus. So what I want you to know is the medical facilities here at Lake Chapala, they're up to date. They're clean. They're very nice. They're modern. And so that's one of the things that's important to know about coming to Mexico because of the fact that healthcare is readily available here. Finding familiar brands. I get people all the time asking me if the Walmart here actually has the numbers in English and are they in US dollars? And here's the answer. They are not in US dollars and it's in Spanish. Again, that Walmart is in Mexico. We need to learn how to look at pesos and learn the financial part of things, the financial numbers, so we can shop like we need to shop, but be able to understand what the prices are. So right here at Lake Chapala, there is a Walmart. Okay, there is Domino's Pizza, there is AutoZone, and there is Subway Sandwich Shop. Four places here in Mexico. When you go to Guadalajara, which is a 45-minute to hour drive away, you're going to have Costco, Home Depot, Pizza Hut, Burger King, Office Depot, Staples will all be in Guadalajara. So are there U.S. brands that are in Mexico? Absolutely. Are there U.S. brands at Lake Chapala? Absolutely. And there's even more when you get into Guadalajara. In fact, there's also a Sam's Club in Guadalajara. Okay, next, understanding the cost of living. And this is one I get asked a lot. In fact, I get people that get concerned or are frustrated or even a bit disappointed when they see something on Facebook that says you cannot find a rental for less than $1,500. You can't find a place in this neighborhood, let's say Upper La Floresta, for less than $2,000 a month. Here's what I want you to know about that. I deal with this channel every single day. I am out every single day. I'm in the community. I'm actually looking up different properties to go and do videos of and such. What I want you to know, if you're looking at living here at Lake Chapala, I want you to know that there is probably between 60 and 70% less expensive to live here than it is in the States. We live in a two-bed, two-bedroom house. We're in a gated community. We do not have the cobblestone. It's actually the locked brick. We pay $650 a month. And I assure you, there will be people that will be on Facebook saying, you can't find a place for $650 in the area that we live in. Gated community, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, backyard, wonderful community. But I want you to know that it exists. It exists. I don't just make that up. It's sincere. So, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be talking about this here in just a second, but I've got a property that I'm actually going to be shooting that is literally $270 a month. And I'm going to share that with you here in just for a few moments. So the cost of produce and restaurants and the living expenses are fractions of what you would actually pay in the States. Access to fresh fruits and vegetables, access to restaurants. It's cheaper to eat out than it is to eat at home. It happens day after day. I talk to people about this. And in fact, it's interesting because when you go out to a restaurant, there's times where you see the same people you've seen at other restaurants. So it's a great community of people. And I just want you to know that living here, you can live on a fraction of what it costs in the States. Barbara and I were in a small apartment. We were paying $925 a month plus utilities. By the time we got done, it was $1,150 a month. We live here for $650. So we live here for half of what we lived there for. And that's including utilities and everything. So it's less than half of what we paid in the States. So moving on to finding a place to stay. If you are coming to visit, I suggest there be an Airbnb that you stay at. If you're just looking to be here for a week or two, that's what I would suggest. If you're looking at moving here, if you're coming down, you're moving here, I mentioned to you earlier, but there are two different ways of when you're renting a place. One is short-term for 6 months, and the second is long-term for at least 1 year. Now, if you're coming and you're looking for a home and you're looking for a place to rent short-term, they're not as easy to find because people come as snowbirds and sunbirds. And what they do is they come for 6 months and then they go back to their home country. There are those that are sunbirds that come. I know, for example, from those from Palm Springs, you've got Arizona, there's parts of Texas that come to Lake Chapala during the hot season, the summers in the States. So it's back and forth. So if you're looking for a place short-term for 6 months, they're not as easy to find because everyone wants to know that their place is going to be rented for at least a year. But they are here and they are available. So that's short-term and that's long-term. Now, how renting works in Mexico and Lake Chapala is this. Whatever the price of the property is. So I'm just going to give an example. I got this property coming up for $270 a month. Let's say it's $300. You're going to pay the first month's rent of $300, the last month's rent of $300, and the deposit of $300. So you'll have paid the first, last, and the deposit of $300. That's $1,200. I'm sorry, it's $900. What am I thinking? So that's how rent works here in Mexico and here at Lake Chapala, the first, last, and then that deposit that you get back, obviously, when you get ready to leave, as long as the property's left the way it was when you found it. So just to kind of share with you, people say, well, you can't find places like that. Well, I've got a place coming up that I'm going to be shooting and taking a video of. And it's a studio, 1 bath, 1 bed studio apartment. It actually is here at Lake Chapala. And it is, it's furnished, includes all the utilities. So that's going to be internet, cable. You're talking about electric, gas, water. They're all included in $270 a month. And that's going to be coming up. Now, here's the other thing, too. People are going to say, you can't find something in Mexico for less than $300 a month. I get people, it's just amazing. I get emails from people saying, why am I lying to people? That is unbelievable. Any property that I have done a video with, I include the name of the realtor, their contact information, the officer with their address, their email address. Why would I tell anybody that Here's a place coming up for $270 when somebody's going to call it and it'll be $1,000. What does that accomplish? I mean, I don't get a dime out of that. I mean, what I want to do is I want to give the pluses and the minuses about living in Lake Chapala. Here's a plus. You can find places for less than $300 a month. You can. I've done several videos just recently on places for $300 a month or less. So they are available. They are available. Well, and then the last one I want to talk about is the banking in Mexico. I've had folks ask me about that. And when it comes to banking in Mexico, what we've done, and I know there's a lot of people also that kind of follow suit with that, is whatever country they're from, whether it's the U.S. or it's Canada, we have a bank account. Barbara and I, we have a bank account in the States, and every month her Social Security deposit check is deposited into our account, and we're able to pay the rent, whatever, utilizing our ATM card at the bank itself. So we go and use our ATM card, we pay our bills. You can do the same thing. You're not required to have a bank account in Mexico unless you're looking at buying a car, paying for a car, or a new car, I should say, or you are buying a house. They want you to have a local bank account. So I hope those things have been helpful for you, kind of just sharing a little bit about some of the things about living in Mexico and some topics that I get asked from folks on a regular basis. So I hope that's been helpful for you in regards to living here at Lake Chapala. And I just want to ask you, friend, if you're not already, I'd like to encourage you to be a subscriber to the channel. It's a great community, and you want to be a part of it. All you got to do is go to the bottom right-hand corner. There's a little square box that's red. Tap on it. You're subscribed. You'll know when our next video comes out. Give us a thumbs up to let other people know it's a great video to watch about retiring at Lake Chapala. Stop by, stay hi, leave a comment, share with us an idea of a video you'd like to see, and also make sure you hit the bell, because that way you'll be immediately notified when the next video comes out. You don't want to miss our next video. So with that, as always, thank you so much for being a part of this channel and supporting this community. We appreciate you. Have an awesome day. We'll see you on the next video.